Do you know what really surprises me? That many people think they are physically incapable of rolling their R's, like they weren't born with the right tongue. Maybe at one point in their life they tried to roll their R's when saying some Spanish words, but they just couldn't do it, and that's how they came to that conclusion. Did you have that experience? Well, in my opinion, I think anybody can learn how to roll their R's. So let's talk about a few tips that are going to help you develop this really fun skill. The first thing that we need to do to be able to learn how to roll our R's in Spanish is to actually learn how to pronounce all the letters of the Spanish alphabet. And no, I don't recommend skipping this step. You have to do it. This may seem like a very minor step and that you can just put it off for months and months, but I promise you this is actually extremely important for rolling your R's, and it will make more sense in a little bit here. Let's shift our focus to the pronunciation of the letter R now in Spanish. Now, the letter R in Spanish sounds like what? It sounds like ere. Now, what is really important for you to understand and for me to understand is that the R in Spanish does not sound exactly the same as the R in English. This is an important distinction to always keep in mind because look at this. R versus ere. R versus ere. This mistake right here of pronouncing the Spanish R like the English R is what can make rolling our R's in Spanish when we are saying Spanish words incredibly difficult. Now let's say some Spanish words that have the single R. Here we have pero, naranja, amarillo, and terminar. If I wanted to say these Spanish words with more of an English sounding R, I would say them like pero, naranja, amarillo, and terminar. Those sound pretty different. One thing you may have noticed is that when I pronounce the R in Spanish, you may hear like a little D sound. You're like, wait, what is that? My tongue is touching the roof of my mouth. So, ere. So it's not R again, but it's ere, like that. But how does ere turn into rrr? I just watched Selena recently, and there is this scene where Selena's father is teaching Selena when she was a little kid how to roll her R's. And he told Selena, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and blow. Well, I'm paraphrasing here. So let's try that. So, okay, I'm gonna put my tongue on the roof of my mouth here. So like this, and I'm just gonna blow. So, there it is right there. Okay. Well, is that it? Is that how you roll your R's in Spanish? This is a big part of the equation, but there's still a little bit more that we have to learn. But I really like that explanation because it's quite simple and just about anybody can follow those two steps, right? Also, it teaches us something very important about rolling our R's in Spanish. That we are not forcibly, I think I'm saying that word properly, forcibly moving our tongues like this. Like up and down. But we're actually blowing and we don't actually have to do that much work to get that rolling sound. That is very important because I know I have talked with some people and they tried to roll their R's and they would try to do that. They're like, they're trying to move their tongue like that as fast as possible so that they can get that rolling sound instead of just doing So just take note of that. Now let's look at some Spanish words that have the double R. We have perro, which sounds different from pero, right? Pero versus perro. Then we have tierra. And then we have horrible. I really love the pronunciation of this word. Another thing that you should note is that we don't only roll our R's in Spanish if there is a double R. We actually do it when there's a single R at the beginning of a Spanish word. Here we have rico and we have responsabilidad. We also have the word nosotros, and although the R is not at the beginning of the word here, it does still kind of have that rolling sound. Nosotros, tro. So it's not nosotro, it's not tros, but it is tros, nosotros. All right, what do you notice about rolling our R's? All letters are important when we are rolling our R's in Spanish. So not just focusing on the R, but all the letters around the R also make a big difference in how we are able to roll our R's. Which is why I say we can't skip the step of learning how to pronounce every letter of the Spanish alphabet. So we have ro, ra, ri, re, and tro. Another good tip for rolling your R's in Spanish is to really focus on your mouth movements and make sure that you're really exaggerating them. This right here has helped me so much to learn how to roll my R's and also how to improve the way that I roll my R's in Spanish. Also, during this journey of learning how to roll your R's in Spanish, I highly recommend watching a lot of YouTube videos in Spanish, listening to a lot of podcasts in Spanish, music in Spanish, so you can watch native Spanish speakers roll their R's and see how they move their mouth when they do it. And so you can really focus on how it sounds because not every Spanish speaker rolls their R's the same way. Check out my new Spanish resource kit that is linked down below in the description box. That is filled with resources to learn Spanish, like TV shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels. Make sure that you practice, and don't give up because developing this skill of rolling your R's in Spanish is not going to happen just overnight. So don't get stressed out if you can't do it the first day or the next 5 days or even the next month, because you do have a few steps to complete, right? You have to learn how to pronounce all the letters of the Spanish alphabet. Then you have to really focus on the pronunciation of the R and get that down, and then actually start to pronounce the words properly with the correct sounding R. So it is a lot, and speaking in general in Spanish is quite challenging and can be overwhelming. So just make sure that you practice as well. You can even read a book aloud. That can help you as well. So you don't have to remember the words, but you can just look at them and then practice rolling your R's that way. Have conversations with native Spanish speakers because then they can help you with rolling your R's as well. I hope this video was very helpful for you, and if it was, make sure that you leave a comment below. Nos vemos muy pronto.